Dragon Queen. Impress her with some fucking Children of the Forest type shit.
We're live.
Am I on?
You're on.
Hold on, I'm just polishing my Valyrian steel sword. It's a precious item to me. Welcome to Ask the Maester Live. It's Tuesday. We're going to be talking about your questions. Hopefully talking about your questions that you have after Spoils of War. What a great episode. The loot train attack, the lamestly named attack, battle, thing in the Game of Thrones universe. For some deeper stuff, I also have a Ask the Maester post that went up today on the revamped ringer.com. Looks great. The new Ringer looks great. Everybody loves it except for people who like to comment. Shouts to Brandon. Let's talk about your questions, and I'll read a couple that I thought were really interesting that I put in the Ask the Maester post. Joreen asks, if Jon marries Dany, would the Stark Bannermen actually kneel to Dany? I don't. At this point, no. I mean, you have to lay the groundwork. The North is done with being involved politically with the South. It's just been tragedy after war, after bad things after bad things. Nothing good happens when the North gets involved with the South. Yeah, I think it would be a tough ask. They would have to be convinced. At this point, that's a no. Allegra, what was Littlefinger trying to accomplish giving Bran the dagger? It's hard to say specifically, but with Littlefinger's basic MO of manipulating people into doing things, finding weak points in people. He's lost Sansa, who's just basically dunking on him like all the time. Arya doesn't trust him. Brienne would love to kill him right now. Jon strangled him. So it's like, who could he possibly manipulate? Oh, this kid Bran, who's been hanging out in the woods for like 4 years and is young and a kid and is kind of weird. I'm gonna pick on this kid. So who knows? I mean, maybe he used the dagger as a pretext to start a conversation with the guy who is technically the Lord of Winterfell. That's my read on it. And of course, when Bran is like, "Chaos is a ladder," Littlefinger's just like, what? Because Littlefinger has no idea about Bran's visions. And if he does, he certainly might have heard about it from Sansa or whoever. He probably doesn't believe it. The three-eyed raven, things of that nature, are so beyond the everyday reality of many of the characters here. Dave, is there a chance that Dany's inner circle has a mole? I think if Jon hangs out in the cave long enough, he may find that mole. Oh! No, I don't. Yeah, maybe. You never know. I think no, but it's possible. Sam Pasternak, do you think Tyrion would attempt to spare a captured Bronn? I actually do. I really do think that. They've shared so many good times together. And it's not like Bronn is politically, is politically tied to any one cause. Jaime's going to give him a castle and a bunch of money. That's why he followed Tyrion. They became close friends, but it was always about the cash, man. Professional relationship. Know your boundaries. Eric, so is the theory that this dagger belonged to Rhaegar? I don't know. Someone on Twitter said, why not Visenya? Why not Rhaelia? I think that's a great point. Why it could have certainly been Aegon's sister wives or any number of Targaryens throughout the years. I just picked Rhaegar and Aegon because they're the most notable of the dead Targaryens that we've heard about. They're the ones that show watchers should know by name. Visenya probably knows. I don't think show watchers really have heard of her. So it just would be like, oh, Aegon's sister. Oh, what weird. Whereas Aegon or Rhaegar, that would have some real punch. But yeah, I think it's obviously someone notable. I mean, the Dragonbone hilt certainly suggests that. Joanne, hi, you are amazing. Oh, that's so sweet. Can you explain? That's enough. I'm going to move on. Now, can you explain a little bit about the children for us non-readers? Thank you. Children of the Forest were like the original intelligent inhabitants of Westeros. I guess like that's kind of shade on the giants. The giants are intelligent too, but the children of the forest, had a sort of society. They are magical creatures, very in tune with nature. Obviously, they worshipped the weirwood trees, and this is how they came into conflict with men, the first men specifically, as they started to move over from Essos and populate Westeros. They're just chopping down trees because you need trees like to cook food and build houses and build fences and build stuff. And so just invariably they'd cut down the weirwood trees, not really understanding that these are sacred to the children. And this sparked a long, long, long war that they eventually squashed after thousands of years on an island called the Isle of Faces, which is in a lake called the God's Eye. They agreed to the pact, which is a peace, and the Long Night happened after that, which is a whole other thing we can get into about the timing of the White Walkers after the Children of the Forest created them. Long story short, as successive waves of First Men and then the Andals came in, the old races, including the Children of the Forest, were just pushed way back to the north and to beyond the Wall. And they are possibly extinct now. Patrick, where does the Golden Company rank in terms of skills when compared to the Unsullied Dothraki and the Second Sons? This is a good question. Well, they're more professional. I would say they're more flexible in terms of tactics than the Unsullied. They're more professional, certainly, than the Dothraki, and the Second Sons as well. They were formed by former Blackfire rebels who were exiled from Westeros, so knights and lords and just people who supported Daemon Blackfire and his attempt to usurp the throne from King Daeron. So they just are more, they bring like a Westerosi philosophy about how to soldier, and they've never broken a contract, they say, as far as they say. And they're just a more professional type of mercenary. Very expensive. But it's interesting that Cersei is going to contract with them since they've got like generations-long history of like trying to overthrow Westeros and put their own people in. So it's kind of like a classic short-term Cersei move if she hires them, which I think she will, because why even mention them? Stevie G, Steven Gerrard. Always knew you were a fan, Stevie G. Phil Collins is very much my shit as well. How come no one is attempting to arrest and behead Jon Snow for being a deserter from the Wall? Aha! He isn't letting anyone know that he came back from the dead, so really he's simply an up-jump deserter from the Watch. This is a great question, and it's one that really bothers me, bothers my co-hosted Binge Mode Mallory, also appears on Talk of the Thrones. Watch it every Sunday after the East Coast airing of Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's weird, especially for a show that's like based on so much on shared history and all these characters from far-flung places knowing about different things that happened throughout history, 100 years back, 1,000 years back, things that happened 2 years ago. It's weird. Everyone knows what the Night's Watch is. It's not like there's like a ton of like non-regional institutions in Westeros. There's like the Citadel and Maesters. There's the Faith, which is like totally effed up right now. And there's the Wall and the Night's Watch. So people would know, like, oh, you can't just leave the Night's Watch. Everybody knows that. So it's very strange that people are not asking him. I guess it's just like an expedience thing, because then they'd have to explain it. That would take up time, and there's only like 3 episodes left. Austin, how did the Dagger start the War of the Five Kings? The Dagger started the War of the Five Kings because it almost killed Brandon Stark, and it sliced up Kat's hands, and it spurred Kat into pursuing what she believed to be a conspiracy to kill Bran, which was right and wrong. She was right that Jaime pushed Bran out of a window, but she was wrong in the sense that there's more to it than that, obviously. Linnea, who is holding the Riverlands with no Tullys or Frey left? Will the remaining houses in the Riverlands manage to stay out of the war without an overlord to call their banners? I'll take the second part first. Will the remaining houses in the Riverlands manage to stay out of the war? Probably not, just historically, because the Riverlands is in the middle of the continent and war always happens there, just because of geography. Who's holding the Riverlands? Really nobody. Everybody's like, the Riverlands has been decimated by Years of war. The small folk have been, massacred. There'd be no reason for anybody to want to step up and rule the Riverlands right now. The phrase just like dropped dead as a freaking house. It's not like a great position to be in right now as ruler of the Riverlands. I can't imagine that anybody's wanting to jump to it. But who would do it? I don't know. There's a bunch of notable houses. I think it would be interesting if they put either the Brackens or the Blackwoods in there because they both hate each other, so that would be like a fun feud. Tim, Arya said no one trained her in the sword. Could this be a confirmation that Syria was a faceless man? No, because Arya doesn't know that. So I think that's just a callback to her training with the faceless men. But I like where your head is at. Michael, why does no one use scouts in Westeros? It's a freaking great question. Yara lets Euron sneak up on her. Jaime lets a huge dragon and an army of screaming Dothraki sneak up on him. What gives? What gives? It's a good question, especially because when Jaime and Bran wandered up to the Frey siege of Riverrun, they were like, you had no picket lines, you had no scouts out, we just walked up and are like, now I'm punching you in the face. Yara was like about to get finger blasted below deck as Euron's fleet is like rolling up. It's just a dereliction of duty, in my opinion, and I think, everybody needs to get sharper. You're in war. Post some scouts out there. Okay, guys. That was really fun. Binge Mode comes out Wednesday nights. Sorry it's so late, but that's just like life and stuff. Talk of Thrones, please watch it every Sunday night after the East Coast airing of Game of Thrones live on Twitter. We'll be contextualizing in that whole spiel that everybody knows. Please stay tuned to the Revamped Ringer for all of our Game of Thrones content. It's coming out every day. So much content. It's an amazing amount of content, you guys. Internet, you've been the best. Goodbye.